Right, morning. So, listen, brilliant Australian Open final between Rybakina and Sabalenka. But what I want you to understand about that is, now, as you know, I was dedicated to tennis for more than 10 years. And, see, Rybakina, if you watch her story, which they've shown a lot of in the Australian press, or as a result of her winning, and I always say the reason why British girls, and I say British girls because that's what I was passionate about, was seeing British girls achieve their potential in tennis. Now, why didn't they? Why can't Emma Raducanu string a couple of wins together? Why is Emma Raducanu nowhere near that level? Why is none of the girls who were at all these national academies, why are none of them anywhere near where Coco Gauff was at 17, 18, where Rybakina was at 17, 18, where Mira Andreeva is now? Why are the British girls struggling? Now, you could say, but other girls are struggling, but I'm only focused on British girls. And the reason being, and I always said this, if you want to be a tennis player, there's nothing stopping you. Nothing. And you can say, oh yeah, but some have natural abilities and unnatural abilities and stuff. And that's right. We can discuss them, nature versus nurture. We can discuss them as part of a plan. But for me, with British girls, the reason why, or more essentially English girls, the reason why English girls struggle so much is because they've got so many other things to do. When you've just focused on one thing, yeah, just one thing, maybe two, but when you're focused on one thing, the chances are you're gonna excel. Now, I remember writing a program for someone, and they lasted 2 weeks, 3 weeks into this program, if that. Now, the reason why I wrote that program was because I wanted them to understand that, was this person talented? 100%. But they were, I think at the time, 17, 18, and they had missed about 5 or 6 key performance indicators. And that is levels that you need to achieve in order to take the next step. Now, they hadn't done any of those steps. Yes, they had one-to-ones. Yes, they played tennis. Yes, they trained. Yes, they won tournaments. All that type of thing. But they were so far away from any kind of professional level. But it kind of wasn't their fault because they had paid a bad teacher, not to coach tennis, but to understand what they needed to achieve to get where they needed to achieve. Now, that's the same for almost all of the girls, and I could list the 20, 30, but some, I can't think of a name. Rana might be one. Mimi could break the mold, but I think she's still doing too many other things. Other girls have now gone to America, so they're out of the question. So once they've gone to America, yeah, they might tell you that you got a chance of competing at the highest level, but you haven't. You're just too far removed. So take Sabalenka, for example. She had hardly any junior career, started playing at 14. 14? That's mad. 14? None of this Jennifer Capriati starting at 3 and or any of those types of things. So that's why I've always said, when you give, if you're the national governing body, either have nothing to do with performance tennis or only give funding to people who want to be tennis players. Don't give funding just because this girl's richer and she can afford to do grade 3s every week and pretty much and have a full-time program and all this. Because what you're doing is you're rewarding the richest. You're not rewarding the best. You're not rewarding potential. You're not rewarding any kind of ambition. What you're rewarding is the richest people who can afford it. Yeah. And I'm sure this has been told to them. I'm nothing to do with it. I have no skin in the game. I have no friends or anything like that. But it doesn't work. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work. Because you're rewarding the wrong people. Now, to counteract that, they've realised that. These aren't stupid people. These are intelligent people. To counteract that now, they've dug some girl out with who has no money and this, that and the other. And given this girl everything. Now, again, it's the part, isn't it? Not everybody is going to be or have those attributes. Now, how much does, for example, Rana want to be a tennis player? How much? Well, when you look at it, what's the alternative? Oh, start, reading books and, well, I'll pretend to be a tennis player until I can't pretend to be a tennis player anymore. There's another girl who's brilliant. Her name's Michelle. Oh my gosh, technique fantastic, but would never do the work. I know her mum will say, oh, but she doesn't, she's injured, she's this, she's that, she doesn't have this, she doesn't have that. She just would never strip everything out of her life and just focus on the dividend of tennis. Because that's what I suggested. Now, that is too much. There's no way that they'd do that because it's too far removed. And I think she's like 23 now, 23, 24. But when I suggested it, I think she was 18, 19. Now, that would have been, or that section, I don't need to teach a technique. And she goes, oh, no, you don't need to teach a technique. You don't need to teach a technique. But what you do need to teach her is how to win matches. What you do need to teach her is how to compete. What you do need to teach her is how to protect her body, how to stay fit, how to leave it on the court, how to make less errors, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all of those things. That's why we're so far behind. We've got too many other things in our lives. Boyfriends, fashion, buying clothes, Amazon, this, that and the other. None of it to do with tennis. None of it. You see Naomi Osaka come into tennis in things. 2 matches later, she's pulling out. Oh my gosh. It's just, such a talent, but nowhere near the focus needed on the sport. Yeah. And what annoys me is one of her Grand Slam wins was against Serena. Now, let's just say Serena was just a couple years younger. Serena would have finally broke that record and no longer would be discussing it, would we? So, tennis, any young tennis players round about the age of 8 or 9, if you want to be a tennis player, you do one thing only. You focus on your tennis, you get your tennis done, and that's where the majority of your time is spent. Yes, you try and do your education, but again, I heard someone the other day talk about work-life balance. I was like, what work-life balance? Be quiet. You know nothing. Dunning-Kruger effect. You know nothing. You know a little bit. And that little bit makes you think that you know everything. You don't. Yeah. And I remember going with this girl, and she played one of the girls who was part of that national structure. And I charted literally every single point. And this girl could have had the girl I was coaching, could have had her done in less than an hour. But because, again, those key performance indicators, if you miss them, they're so hard to catch up later. Why? Because you've got boyfriends, you've got friends, you've got going out, you've got music, you're buying CDs, you're buying clothes, you're going on a holiday, you're eating pizza. You've so far removed from all of the things needed to stay focused on the tennis. And I can use myself as an example. When I had my first photography business when I was 16 stroke 17, I wanted a sports car. I had a Spanish girlfriend, Hannah, 6'1" Hannah. I was doing all these other stuff apart from focusing entirely on my tennis. All that stuff I would have got. Fast cars, girlfriends, nice clothes. I would have got all of them things. Hazel Evans, never forget her, trying to impress Hazel Evans, trying to, you know, yes, I came from a scenario where I was trying to impress and I didn't need to. What I needed to do was focus on photography. I'd be a millionaire now. I'd be better than, what's his name, Rankin. Yep. Now that I'm focusing on photography, I'm better at photography every day. I'm better today than I was yesterday. I know more about my cameras today than I did yesterday. The same, yeah, because I keep moving forward. I've cut out so much of the noise out of my life, yeah, and focus on what matters. Does that make sense? And when you do that, you give yourself a chance. When you don't, and you're involved in this and involved in that and involved in that and involved in this and doing in this and interested in that and then next thing you know, you're nowhere near as good at whatever it is. And don't get me wrong, there's still people better than me at photography. Of course there is, there always will be. Yeah, but I'm now starting to fulfill my potential. Listen, like and subscribe, guys. Loads going on. Let me take a picture. Yeah, that's for the thing. Right, listen, like and subscribe. Loads going on. And get in touch. Yep, it's now February 2026. Loads to achieve. See you in a bit. Bye.